Hi everyone, it's Rena from Perth IELTS and PT Tutoring. I'm a private tutor based in Perth, Western Australia, and I know it feels like it has been a long time since my last video, mostly because I've been teaching on Mondays, so I don't have a chance to make these videos for you. But I'm back. I have a little bit of time today, and I want to get straight into certain things that may be of use for you guys, especially for those of you who are not in Australia currently and are applying for a visa here in Australia. We are going to look at the Department of Home Affairs English language requirements, okay? So we're going to go through the website. I'm going to show you everything they need, and then you need to make those decisions about what exam to take, what English proficiency test you'd like to take, how fast you want to do it, which which way you want to go with it. All right, let's talk all about it. Of course, as usual, there'll be a little bit of a toot on all the information you might need. But of course, this is purely for informational purposes only. You need to find out exactly what English language levels you require for your visa and for whatever registering body you're going for, whether it's a university, an institute, or some kind of registration body like, say, the Teaching Board of WA or the Nursing Board of WA, whatever. Okay, you need to find out exactly what you need. But today we're going to look at specifically the Department of Home Affairs visa requirements for English. Okay? All right, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pop open your Google or whatever search engine you have, and you're going to type Department of Home Affairs Australia. English language. That's all you got to search for, okay? And you're going to pop straight to this website called Immigration and Citizenship website, English language visa requirements. Now, if you want a visa, you have to go through the Department of Home Affairs. There is no other way around it. Okay? So, this is the website you come to, imi.homeaffairs.gov.au/help support meeting our requirements. Okay, to meet the visa requirements, you need to prove English proficiency. Now I'm going to jump straight to a PowerPoint because all this information is kind of complex for you guys to go through. So I've just summarized it and I've put in a bit of a toot, and then we'll come back to this website if we need to. Okay? See you in a minute. Okay, folks, welcome to the PIAPT Guide to Understanding English Proficiency Tests in Australia. Don't forget, we are in Australia. Okay, for those of you wanting to apply for a visa, you have to understand that sometimes your visa requirements and English language requirements are not the same as your institute or registering body English language requirements. Okay, let's move on. So in the beginning, you're told, all right, we're going to offer you a visa. We're going to sponsor you to come and work with us, and we're going to offer you a visa. Or you're told it's time for you to apply to university here in Australia, and you need to show proof of English proficiency. Okay? So it's all very exciting, and then it suddenly gets very scary because what level of proficiency do you need? Which tests are accepted? And when will you need to show proof of proficiency? Okay? Again, this is purely from a visa standpoint. This is not from a registering body or university or professional body standpoint. This is purely from the visa side. Okay? There are a whole group of people who do not need to show proof of English proficiency, not because they're amazing at speaking English, but because they're from certain countries which have an agreement with Australia, and most of them are already native English speakers. These people are citizens of, and those who hold a valid passport issued by the UK, the United States of America, Canada, New Zealand, or the Republic of Ireland. Everybody else with a different passport from any of these countries usually has to show proof of proficiency unless they completed a degree, so such as a Bachelor's of Arts or Bachelor of Science or Commerce, a higher degree or a diploma or a trade certificate in an institution in or outside Australia that required at least
2 years full-time study with all instructions in English. Okay? Next, there's another group of people who went to school in English-speaking countries or in an English-speaking medium. These people went to primary school and secondary school where all instruction was in English. It doesn't matter whether it was in or outside Australia, but all instruction was in English for all years of primary school and at least 3 years of secondary school. Next, the person who does not need to show proof of either went to all of primary school and some of high school, or went to full high school, all 5 years of study in English. And finally, those who studied in Australia where all instruction was in English for at least 1 year full-time or part-time to the equivalent of 1 year full-time. Okay? I know you can speak English. A lot of you can speak English, you can understand English, you can write in English, but unless you are from those 5 countries, you're probably going to have to show proof of proficiency. Did I miss something? No, I didn't. All right, so let's check the 5 most commonly accepted English proficiency tests accepted by Australia, meaning the Australian Department of Home Affairs, for visa purposes. Okay, this is not just for university entrance, not just for getting registered at a registering body. It is purely for visa purposes. You can submit any one of these 5 tests and you should be able to get a visa. Okay, they are IELTS, the International English Language Testing System, including one skill retake, except for those of you who are doing applying for postgraduate visas. PTE, the Pearson Test of English. Cambridge English, also known as C1 Advanced. OET, Occupational English Test, for those in the health profession, including allied health. So from doctors to dentists, right down to physiotherapists, most of them can submit OET. And finally, TOEFL, which I find is much more common in those of you from the American nations, South America, and even North America. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. We are only going to focus on these top 2 because this is what I specialize in. Okay, now remember, you need to find out exactly what your requirements are, not just for your visa, but also for the body or institute or department that you're applying for. This is purely for visa purposes and for your information only. Okay, so let's talk about the 2 most popular tests in Australia right now. They are, by a landslide win, IELTS is far more popular, followed pretty closely by PTE Academic. Now, PTE Academic is gaining popularity, but for reasons unknown to me. Okay, so let's talk about the 2 tests. IELTS can be done on paper or on computer, but only in test centers. You are not allowed to apply for a visa using results from a test that you did at home called IELTS Online. You can't do that. Okay, there are 2 types, general training and academic. IELTS is, it is a fact that IELTS is more widely accepted, but there is confusion sometimes between general training and academic. Okay, if you are a student, almost certainly you'll have to do academic. If you're applying for a particular visa, you might not need academic, you can just do general training. You need to find out exactly which test you need to take. Okay, price-wise, there has been a bit of a change here. Yes, IELTS is about 460. This is a slight mistake. PTE Academic is now around 470. Now let's talk about PTE Academic for a quick moment. Okay, PTE Academic is fully computerized and is done in centers only. There's PTE at home. It's not accepted by the visa department. There is only one type, and it's PTE Academic. It is less widely accepted, and this matters. Okay, this really, really matters.
So I've paused that tweet for a second because I really need to address this situation between PTE Academic and IELTS. Now, no matter which body you go to, quite often IELTS will be accepted. One example, would be if you're applying to be a nurse in Australia, they'll accept IELTS. They will accept OET. They will accept PTE. But then if you decide, oh, I want to be a teacher and I want to teach in schools here in Australia, the teaching board of WA does not accept PTE. So you really need to make that decision, okay? You may think PTE is easier because for visa purpose, it's easier for you to get a test, get the results you need. But for the job you want to do, you might have to choose a different test. If you want to be registered with the teaching board of WA, you have to have IELTS, not PTE. And there is good reason why, okay? And we'll get back to that in a second.
So why do you think there are some governing bodies and registering bodies in Australia that accept PTE and some that just don't? Okay, I personally feel it is because most of these governing bodies that do not accept PTE are fully aware that PTE academic is a poor gauge of language proficiency. Okay, I am not sorry to say it, it is a fact. There is no way that PTE as a test is accurately gauging language proficiency. Okay, it is just not that good at it. No machine can more accurately gauge your language proficiency than an examiner. And I have a lot of respect for the WA Teaching Board for choosing not to take PTE results. Okay? Also, if you are planning on sitting for PTE, please understand that all the tips, tricks, hacks, cheat code, and all the bullshit that the other tutors are telling you are not benefiting you in the long run if you are not improving your English at the same time. Because when you come here, you're going to realize people only speak English. And while people are very kind and very patient, if you struggle to communicate, you will eventually start falling behind. Okay? Now, there are multiple levels of language proficiency that are accepted by the Department of Home Affairs. This can get quite complicated, but for their assessment, they have 5 levels of proficiency. Okay? You need to find out from your institution, employer, or registering body what level or band score is required. But for visa purposes, the Department of Home Affairs recognizes these 5 levels. Okay? The first level is functional. Functional means you can go into a shop and you can ask for bread, pay for the bread, and leave. Okay? It's an IELTS average band of at least 4.5 and a PTE score of 30. Vocational, you can do simple jobs or general tasks. Okay? It's an IELTS band 5 or PTE 36. And for example, if you work in manufacturing or if you work in a factory, quite often this is the band score you will need for your visa purposes, especially if you're employer sponsored. Next, here is where student levels come in. Okay, competent, an IELTS band 6 in each component or PTE 50. And finally, for academic students, say you're applying to do a degree here in Australia at the University of Western Australia, you probably need a band 7 IELTS academic or PTE level of 65 in each component. And finally, superior. A superior level of language proficiency is an IELTS band 8 in each component or PTE 79 and above. Okay? Again, there are differences. This is purely for visa purposes. For registering body purposes, sometimes the levels can vary. Some universities may accept a PTE score of 65 with each skill being no higher or lower than 60. Some of them may have already raised their standards. I know that there are some universities over in the East, in Sydney and stuff, that have already started changing their language requirements for PTE because they know PTE is not an accurate gauge of language proficiency. Another thing that might be very interesting to know is if you want to register as a teacher here in Australia, you need not just a band 7 overall or 7.5, probably. You need a band 8 for speaking and a band 8 for listening, where the reading and writing can be band 7. So you really need to find out from your institution, employer, or registering body what level or band score you require. Okay? All right. Now that you know all about your English language requirements for visa purposes, your journey starts here. Decide which test is best for you. That is the first step. Whether you choose to do IELTS, PTE, OET, CAE, TOEFL, you need to choose the test that suits you best. Okay?
I know many of you always turn to your friends, your family, and maybe people in the community that you might know personally for advice on what type of test you should do, which test to do, and when you should do it. Sometimes they think that they might know what is best for you, but really you need to have a really, really good long look at each test and decide which one suits you best. PTE has major, major flaws as far as speaking goes. And because of the nature of the test, where multiple skills are marked at the same time, you stand to lose a lot of points if your speaking is poor. Okay? Whereas IELTS independently marks each skill. Next, if you have pitch issues, for example, you are a big manly man whose voice is like Darth Vader, there's a solid chance the AI is not going to understand you and you will struggle to get a high score. Or similarly, if you have a really high pitched voice and you sound like a chipmunk, there's a solid chance the AI is not going to pick up your voice. Think about what suits you best. If you have any kind of disabilities that might cause you to have lower scores, one example is if you are vision or hearing impaired, you should not be doing PTE. Don't do it. Don't believe them when they say we have allowances for people with disabilities. AI doesn't give a shit about your conditions. Whether you are dyslexic, whether you are hard of hearing, whether you are vision impaired, they cannot accommodate for it. They say they try, they say they will, they say they'll give you extra time, but artificial intelligence can only mark what it's programmed and coded to mark. Okay? So if there are any disabilities or anything that might impede you in any way, choose a different exam. Don't choose to be marked by a computer who has no empathy, who has no feelings about your situation. Okay? Next. So, number one, pitch issues, don't do PTE. Disabilities, don't do PTE. Typing speed, if you can't type fast, pick an exam that allows you to use a pen and paper. Again, any other test but PTE. You cannot write PTE, you type PTE. If you are slow at typing, don't choose PTE. Stop listening to your friends going, you should do PTE when they type fast and you can't. Next. So we've already got three big ones: pitch, disabilities, typing speed. Next. This is a big one because PTE claims that they can cover every single accent. If your accent is so thick and you can't change it and you can't alter it to be intelligible enough for artificial intelligence to pick it up, you need real human intelligence to pick it up. Please don't do PTE if you have an out of control accent that you just can't hide. And I don't want you to change your accent. I don't want you to change at all. I just want you to be aware of these things. When you choose a test, stop listening to your mates and when they say, and I have to say in the accent, it's much easier. No, it's not. It is not easier. Okay? Stop doing that. Listen to your body and listen to your brain when your brain says, actually, no, I'm a slow typer. My accent is really thick. The person needs to see me talk in order to understand me. Think about those things. Okay? And finally, and this is the final one before I stop my rant. If you are not working to improve your English language command alongside sitting for these tests, there is no point in you actually sitting for any English language proficiency test. Okay? There is no way of weaseling out of it. You got to do it the right way. You want to get a high score for either any test, work on it. Please stop trying to cheat the system. Okay? All right. So I hope this has been informative and helpful for those of you applying for visas here in Australia. And for those of you who aren't applying for visas in Australia, I hope it was helpful in the sense that you understand now that there's a lot of thought that goes into visa applications and what the requirements are for different countries. All right, thank you so much for all your time. I hope you didn't find me too mean or nasty. I've been told that I can come off a little bit mean. I'm sorry. I care about you. I want you to do it the right way and I want you to do it well. Okay? Do it once, do it the right way. Stop wasting money. Stop repeatedly sitting for exams, different exams. Okay? Seek the right advice. All right. Thanks, everyone, and sending you lots of good vibes. For those of you who are fasting for Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak, and we're looking forward to Eid because let's admit you guys have the best food ever. All right. Okay. See you soon, guys. Bye.